Welcome to a very special episode of Side Talk, the Say What Again Billy podcast mini-series Side Talk. And because it's spooky season and we have a lot of content to get out there, I wasn't going to put a Side Talk episode out, but what better way to get more spooky stories out there than to talk with your own father about some of the things that we experienced when he got me into ghost hunting, and of course my mom as well. So everybody, I'd like to give a warm welcome, first time on the podcast, Dad.
How do you do, everybody?
So I surprised him today. I just popped up and I said, I'm stealing you for like 20 minutes and we're going to go and we're going to film. And he sat down and now we're here. So this is all about ghost stories of things that we've experienced because you guys got me into the paranormal, you and Mom collectively. So why don't you start by telling everybody, because they've heard this story from me a few times. Why don't you start by telling everybody what we saw in the Bronx over Janelle's Towers in 1995?
Oh, yeah, it was one night. The four of us were riding down. I had a friend that had a candy store on Barnes Avenue. And we used to go down there. But that night we were driving down, we usually went to the end of the block, made the right on Neal Avenue, and went up. There was a big tree right by the gas station on the right-hand side. It was fall, so there was no leaves on it. So we were going, and all of a sudden we see this orange, yellowish light above us. And we were looking, and we figured it had to be a UFO because there was nothing else around it. It was dark. The only obstruction was that tree, and it wasn't much of an obstruction. So as we were driving, we looked, and we followed the light, the orange light, up to the tree, and as soon as we got to the other side, it was gone. We all were talking and looking at each other and saying, was it what we said it was? Or was it a UFO? And yeah, we decided it was because it was there. In a matter of seconds, it was gone.
That's the story that I've told on this podcast quite a few times. And that's the day that I began getting into the paranormal. Now, as years went on, that was third grade for me. So as years went on, I started getting into the ghost stuff. And then one year we would plan these random vacations to places that we could drive to. And one year when I got really into it and I had the equipment and everything, we planned on going to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And the first time we went there, we had like one or two experiences, but then we had one in the battlefield. And that was the first time we went. You remember that story from Mom?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why don't you tell them that? This is because it is spooky season. So the UFOs got us into the paranormal. But this is a first-hand account from my father, the first time we went to Gettysburg in the battlefield. And it started with me and you filming the battlefield, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
We were out there. We drove in. I had a 94 Chevy Blazer. And we drove into the battlefield. It was dark. And it was just starting to get dark. And Billy got out of the car with his equipment and started doing his thing. And I sat in the car with my wife, and Brandon was in the back seat. He was younger, so he stayed in the car. And as we were sitting there and Billy was doing his investigation outside the car, my wife says, "Oh, look at that. There's something running across the road." She thought it was a bear, so she calls out the window for Billy to come in the car, get in the car. But in the battlefield where we were, the only thing there is monuments and maybe a bush, but not high. And what we saw going across, again, was only seconds before it disappeared. And that's what we saw. Plus, later on, we saw figures into the side of the forest, like foggy figures. But you could distinguish that they were people. and disappearing in seconds afterwards.
So when that thing disappeared, there was bushes and then there was grass, but that was not tall. The grass wasn't really that tall. So
No.
if something went into the field, you would see the grass rustling and it making its getaway. Kind of like, the best analogy I can give you is one of the Jurassic Park movies when the guy says, "Don't go into the tall grass." And then all of a sudden you see the grass ruffling as they're walking. The velociraptors are tailing them. The grass is moving. We didn't see any of that. And that was the first trip to Gettysburg. That was one of the things I can remember from the first trip. Now, the second trip, collectively, a ton of things happened at the second. Now, this might have been a reel on one of my Instagram posts, but Farnsworth House is one of the most haunted houses in Gettysburg. Now, at the time of the Battle of Gettysburg, you've heard on many episodes, there wasn't a lot of buildings there. There was only a few buildings. Mainly, it was all trees, grass, open fields, hills, things of that nature. The Farnsworth House is one of the original houses that was there during the times of Gettysburg, the Civil War. And there's a lot of ghost stories and a lot of ghosts that reside in the Farnsworth House. But one of the main ghosts doesn't even have anything to do with the Battle of Gettysburg. It has everything to do about a little boy who was playing tags with his friends. And the way they used to play tag back in the Civil War era is they would run out to a horse and buggy, they would tag the horse, and then run back to the steps of the house. Unfortunately, this particular kid ran out, the horse got spooked, it ended up trampling him, and in the process of the horse getting spooked and trampling him, the wagon went over him. The kid was unfortunately pronounced dead when they brought him inside the Farnsworth House, and he passed away there in front of the Farnsworth House, where apparently now his spirit is one of the many spirits in the Farnsworth House that haunts. We did a Civil War style dinner that night and then proceeded to go down to the basement for ghost stories, where they had it elaborately set up with a mock wake where you had a casket with a fake body in it, decorated with tons of flowers, because during Civil War time, flowers was what kept the smell away, because we didn't have the embalming fluids and things that we have now. And the woman had an instrument that she'd play in between her stories. And I had asked permission prior if I could use my equipment while she told the stories. And then she proceeded to say yes and tell the stories. And that's when all the spookiness happened with the Detoma family there. And I'll give it to my dad to tell the story.
Yeah, we went into this sort of like basement. The girl was up on a stage in front, and they had chairs set up, folding chairs, and there was like 3 chairs in a row from the left side, the middle, and the right side. In the middle was the casket with the flowers all on it. My son Brandon sat next to me. I was on the left-hand side, and I was about, I say, maybe 3 feet from the wall on my left. And my wife was behind us, sitting. There was another couple behind her. Then there was a few more people on the other side, in the middle, and the right side. And she got talking about this child who was playing tag and got killed out there by the horse. They brought him into the Farnsworth house, and he died. What happens now with this spirit, she said, he likes to go and pull on your pants, tug on your pants. Or he likes to get up and try to get up on your lap. So as she's talking, I had dungarees, I had a pair of cowboy boots on. And at that time, as she's telling us this, I have my leg crossed and I feel 3 tugs on my pants leg. And I go to the girl, you mean just like what's happening to me now? And she looked kind of surprised. Billy came over with his equipment and was trying to get a reading. And with that, my wife screams and gets up. She felt somebody trying to get up on her lap. Oh, a few minutes after that happened. The people in the back, the woman screams. She actually got scratched by whoever was trying to get on her lap. And it started to get the girl who was given the narration a little worried. So it went on, and it went on without any more problems or theatrics. And after the program was over, she asked somebody to come and stay with her because she was really nervous about what was happening. So my son Billy said he would stay. So with that, he stayed, and I and my wife and my other son, we went upstairs waiting. So after a while, I was starting to get worried because now it's like a half an hour I'm waiting. So I went downstairs to see what was going on. So they were in the back where there was another coffin in the back. And as I walked back there, I could smell a disgusting smell. And I was saying, what is that? And I asked Billy, I said, Billy, did you fart?
Yep, I remember that.
I said, because it smells. He goes, no. He said, that, and the girl says, no, that's the smell that appears in the basement from the Civil War. They used to take care of the wounded upstairs, and they would throw limbs, legs, arms downstairs that they amputated from these soldiers, and a lot of bodies. And this was the smell that I was smelling. And I was wondering, because right upstairs is a restaurant. And I was wondering if that smell affects the restaurant, which it doesn't. So it was a question that was unanswered. I mean, it was there happening, but unanswered of why it appeared every so often.
Yeah, that's a story I won't forget. I remember the lady saying vividly, "I'm going to have to ask the little Ghostbuster to stay behind." And then I did, and it was a long time, and that comment he made was true. But it was that trip, collectively, all of us together experiencing ghost stuff, was what kept the interest going from the time that we saw the UFO and all the way up until Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. In Salem, we went to Salem, but nothing happened in Salem.
Yeah, we went to Salem, yeah.
Nothing really happened there. But we traveled together as a family and got into the spooky. So that was a good time, good memories. Now, my question to you is, what do you think these ghosts are? Actual ghosts, Dad? Or you think there's something more demonic? Or what's your opinion on ghosts?
Well, I always, as a young boy, I always was into watching monster pictures. Years ago, there used to be on Saturday a guy called Zachary, and I faithfully watched him. He was, a comic and a good movies he used to show. And I was always interested in that. And as time went on and I had my family, I still watched them, and we used to watch them together on Saturday nights. I used to put a blanket down with pillows, turn out all the lights, and have Billy and Brandon, my wife, would lay there, and we watched these monster pictures. And I imagined this put something into Billy that he wanted to investigate these phenomena. And yes, going back to the question, yeah, I do believe in supernatural powers. I do believe that there are creatures that have been undiscovered around different areas. Bigfoot, the Yeti, the Loch Ness Monster. I do believe that there are things like this that are true. That because we don't actually see them all the time doesn't mean that they don't exist and could exist. And I was always interested in that, and I always wanted to go. I was a hunter. I always really wanted to go out to the woods where a Yeti would be, or Bigfoot, and see for myself. Of course, I never did. It was my one bucket list thing that I don't think I'll ever fill, but I would like to. And I look at these pictures, and I I see certain things, and I do believe in spiritual things. I do believe that maybe when we die, some people come back because of the way they died, or different areas of remembrance that they go to. So I do believe. I do believe in it.
Very well said, Dad. Like a professional podcaster. Very well said. Well, listen, I wanted to give the mic over to the person that helped get me interested in the paranormal and give you guys a little extra content. You know, you've heard a lot about my dad through news and things of that nature. But while he's in good spirits, I wanted to get him on and talk, and it's something that my mom's been in my ear about. Your dad wants to go on the podcast, so why not get Dad in here for a side talk episode? And you know, it was good. Now you got to see the person that got me into it, and the next person to get on here would be Mom, because she's the one that really got me into it. Because she's always been into the horror stuff, and then it just conjoined the family, and then started watching spooky horror movies. And then witnessed a whole bunch of paranormal activity. And there's a great little tidbit to let you guys know a little bit more personally about me and who got me into this stuff. And to meet my dad and hear his first-hand accounts of the paranormal.
And good thing about it was family. We were family doing this thing together. Enjoying it. And still, to this day, we still do it.
Yeah, I'm leading the charge on that one. Brandon, not so much. I think he thinks we're all crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know, another thing that's we need when we go to these paranormal investigations, my dad is a fan of Dunkin', but me personally, I am a fan of How You Brewing Cafe, located in Tuckahoe Road, New York. If you have a coffee craving, you can go to How You Brewing Cafe to get over 14 different flavors of iced coffee. Of course, their house blend hot coffee, espressos, macchiato, cappuccino, and of course, little snacks and treats that you can get and eat in the store or take it on the run with your coffee. So if you have a caffeine kick and you need to fulfill it, head over to How You Brewing Cafe in Tuckahoe, New York.
And I'm hoping my son takes me there one day so I can enjoy it.
I will take you there for coffee, Dad. No worries. Leo, you heard that? My dad wants your coffee. And of course, this is all a big thank you to Spotify for Creators. If you don't know about Spotify for Creators, it is the free app that allows you to get your podcasting idea out there. If you have a phone, tablet, or computer, or something ancient that my dad can use, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. And of course, go visit us, all of our content, most of it, swab_podcast on Instagram. Dad, thanks for being on board for this short and sweet side talk episode.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Pleasure to be out there and talk to all these people.
All right. Hopefully you don't steal the show, because your name is Billy too.
Definitely.
And that has been another episode of the Say What Again Billy podcast mini-series, Side Talk.